Alright, today we're going to be removing the front motor mount on a 2004 Honda Accord. Should be about the same on a 03 to 07. This is the 4-cylinder. 6-cylinder is a little bit different. Doesn't have the coolant hose right in front of the mount, but that's the mount right down there. That's where we're going to change today. You can usually tell when they go bad because you have vibrations when you're in an idle, like when you come to a stoplight or something, or in this case, if you can see it right there, you can see right there, these things they crack right there. It's pretty common for them. You gotta take a few things out of the way to get that, and so you're gonna need some good hand tools. If you're gonna work on your car, invest in a good set of hand tools. And on a Honda, I recommend, especially for the motor mounts, use a factory motor mount. This is the motor mount right here. That's it. Mounts to the engine right there. You got bolts here and four on the bottom. There's your part number right there. And also on the bottom of these, you can see right there, there's a nipple. That's for a vacuum line. These are liquid filled. That's what helps dampen the engine. And so you got to make sure your vacuum hose, this is actually the vacuum hose right here. It's only like $1, so if you're going to order it, you might as well get the vacuum line too. That way, in case you break it pulling it off, you got a spare one. There's the part number right there for the vacuum hose. And Honda recommends that you replace the bolt that goes through here and goes into the engine. That's it right there. And if you can see it, that's your part number right there. So definitely recommend factory parts. I ended up putting the car up on jack stands. I'm sure there's videos out there of how to jack your car up properly and put it on stands. If you do that, make sure you put something behind the tires so it doesn't move anywhere. And I'll go up under the car here. If you can see that, get you a jack, piece of 2x4, some kind of piece of wood, put it right up under the transmission to support the engine. And right now, when you first put it on there, just put it up there and just touch it on there. Don't start cranking on it. And then when you're ready, when you loosen all the bolts, you're going to have to lift the engine up just a little bit, because you got to get it. You have to get it over this hump right here. That little hump right there is holding on to the engine. So you're going to have to lift the engine up a little bit so you can get this mount out. And while we're under here, if I can do it and hold the camera, yeah, I don't know if you can see this at all. It's so hard to film in here, but this right here is your vacuum line. You just need to take some angle pliers and pop it off. Like that. That's really difficult to show you in the back how that works, but here's how the mount is sitting towards the back of the car, and then this hose just connects like that. So just disconnect it right here at this part. Just right here at the end, pop it off, and you can get, that'll allow you to get this thing out of the car and that way you can hook it up back when you get it back in the car. Possible. Much easier to put it on when you install it, and when you take it off, and just use this end to take it on and off. Alright, we're gonna have to take the cooling reservoir out, so you can just take it off just twist it a little bit, pop it off. You don't have to take the cap off. And then there's one 10mm bolt right there. So take that one off, and you can just take this assembly out. And then also, it's easier just to take that bolt out and move this piece, just move it out of the way. Give you a little more clearance to get that mount in and out. Make sure you don't spill it. Good idea to unplug it also. Alright, I also ended up just popped this out of its thing, and I took this bolt out from right here just so I can have a little more room, a little more leeway with this thing. Alright, now we're going to remove the front mount strap mounting bolts. They're just 17mm. I recommend using the universal joint. That's what I'm using. You can see it's pretty tight in there. Just pop loose the other side. This side you can move the hose a little bit. Pop loose. Sometimes they're a little tight. Might have to use a breaker bar on it. Just take the two nuts off. And there's a vacuum hose attached right there. Just pop it out. And just take it out. Just remember, it goes this way with the vacuum hose over there. Next we'll remove the mounting bolt that goes into the engine. Make sure when you put this back in, do not over tighten it. This is going into aluminum. You do not want to strip it out. But you should be able to just pop it off. And there it is. This is the one Honda recommends that you replace. Alright, the four bolts that are down there, pretty straightforward. The only one you're going to have trouble with, the other is that one right there. The other three, you can pretty much just, in this case, this one, just move the hose back a little bit. Get your extensions down in there. I did use a universal for the back one right here, and then I'm also using a universal on this one. Just go right around the cooling hose, if you can see it. Yeah, just take it right around the hose there, put it on the bolt, just make sure you get it on there square so you don't strip it. And then you should be good to go. Should be able to just pop it off like that. And in order to make it easy, because it's so hard, I switched over, once I broke them free, I'm switching over to a 3/8 inch to get the rest out once they're broke free. And sometimes it's handy have a magnet. Reach down in there, help turn it the last little bit and pull it out. Definitely helps. And if you just jack the car a little bit, then you can, that'll free it up enough to get it past this lip. And you can see this one is You see it? Clearly broken. And you just have to maneuver it through there and muscle it out. Now, if yours is completely broke like this one, it's going to leak that fluid, so make sure to wipe it up. And also, there's the vacuum line, so if you don't have a new one, pop this off, put on the new one. And you can see completely broke through. You can see the fluid in there that acts to dampen the vehicle engine. Yeah, that's pretty much where these all break, right there, just like that. Alright, when you're putting the mount back in, I ended up taking these 3 bolts off just so I could move this around, but you really don't need to for the fan assembly. I don't think I needed to do it. I did it just to give me a little wiggle room, but I don't think I needed much. But when you're putting it back in, just move this hose out of the way like that and snake it in through here with the hose out of the way. And once you get it down in place, it's going to be like this. Jack up the engine just a little more with where you have it under the transmission, and then slide it in. And you can start bolting it back in place. Alright, when you put the mount back in and you're putting these bolts back in, I recommend you start with the back corner, the one underneath the coolant hose back here. Definitely start with that one finger tight, and then you can probably get the other back one and then the 2 front ones. Put them all in by hand first. Don't try to put it with a wrench or anything yet. Get them all started by hand, get them down, and then you can tighten them up. And tighten them up to specifications. Those are 40 foot-pounds. Alright, once you get all 4 bolts torqued down to 40 pounds, take your center bolt, use a new one like suggested by the manufacturer, put it in. It's also to 40 foot-pounds. Do not over tighten this one, and make sure you start it by hand first because you're threading into aluminum. You don't want to mess this up. Alright, when you get that bolt in, put your strap back on, put the new 2 nuts back on it. These are going to be 58 foot-pounds. 58 foot-pounds. Alright, when you get done torquing it, don't forget to connect your vacuum line that you disconnected earlier. Alright, now you can lower your jack, reconnect this little piece right here. Reconnect this piece, plug it back in. Put your reservoir tank back on. And don't drop your socket. It's plastic, no need to crank on it. Make sure your tube's back connected. Look over your work, make sure you didn't forget anything. Make sure everything's back in place, everything's tightened back up to specs. You should be good to go. Take your jack out, lower your car back down.